Welcome to the Great Tech Debate, episode number 2.
Yay, 2.
Yes, the famous second episode. Joined with us today is Mike. Mike, what do you want to call yourself?
Gomem or Mike, I take either.
All right.
Most people know me on the internet as Gomem. Mike is my real life name.
He is the gentleman on the left-hand side of your screen with the very nice yet crazy hairdo. Next to him is Nebin or Ben, whichever he prefers as well.
Doesn't matter to me.
He's drinking a beer right now. I'm Podnutz. You can call me Steve. And Nimda is to my right-hand side. Who's Nimda?
Hello. Keith Albright from Mind a Root Podcast.
Okay. Gomem, you have a podcast as well.
Well, actually, I've one podcast that I do regularly every week with Stuart Wofford in the audience.
And what's the name of that show?
It's the called the Pod Mafia podcast, which is the freeway podcast we do in Second Life.
Okay.
We've been doing it for almost 2 years now. I do it with Stuart Wofford in the audience here, and with Excess Delacroix, can be found around Second Life and usually over in the Avillion Sims, which is a fantasy island type fantasy place.
And what's the URL for your podcast if anybody wants to find out?
Podmafia.com.
Podmafia.com. That's an awesome name, by the way. Nevin, do you have any podcasts or anything you would like to plug?
I don't have any podcasts. I just listen to a lot of them.
Okay. So you are a technology enthusiast. How about that?
Technology enthusiast and sort of an on-site technician.
Okay, guys. Well, for those of you who didn't listen or watch the first episode because I didn't post it yet, the way this show works is we debate about tech topics. Each member of the group here brings a topic to discuss and to debate about. And we're just going to start and go. We're just going to go around the line here and see what everybody's topic is. We will start with Keith. Keith, what is your debate topic today?
My debate is AMD versus Intel.
Okay.
Is there a reason to choose one over the other?
Okay, let's talk about it.
Ooh.
What is your take on it, Keith?
Well, I myself, I go based on price. I mean, that just could be because my nature is to try to get the best value. I don't always buy top-of-the-line equipment, the bleeding edge stuff. And I tend to find that the AMD stuff is more value for the money. Now, I mean, some people argue that the AMD is behind the curve with Intel and everything else. But when you look at it, sheer processing power for your dollar, I go with Intel. And that's, I get criticized for that. And I'm curious, if do you have one that you choose, and is there a specific reason why you do it? Because I choose AMD because I think it's a great value.
Well, I mean, the only criticism is maybe it's not as good of a chip. Is that a valid argument?
I think it is.
I don't see that as a valid argument because it's basically licensing Intel's processor design. They're actually a licensee of it, and so it's really without much variation Intel's design. So it's all compatible. I've never had a single compatibility problem. So
Just come in there. I think what it is, years ago, AMD always had the edge with the Athlon XPs and that. They were always way better than the Pentium 4s. But I think what happened is Intel actually came across this Israeli company and they were doing like really good low power, high performance stuff. And basically that's where the Merom chip came from, which evolved into the Pen Rin and Conroe and all that. And basically Intel have bought in this Israeli company who's done all their research and design for all this x86 stuff. I mean, what about processors like the Intel Atom processor? I mean, where's AMD doing it on these low power stuff for these netbooks and things?
I don't think they have lower powered processors for netbooks. I've never seen one.
There actually is one. It's I forgot what it was, but they do. It started with a G. They do make one. It's just it's really slow, and it's like I think it was 800 megahertz. It was really slow, and they started making it for actually I think it was cell phone chips, and it just never really went anywhere.
Because I mean, there is other processors as well, isn't there? Because you've got like, well, what was the Wind chip and things? Well, Crusoe was it?
There's also one from VIA, I believe it is, which is VIA.
I think VIA is the original Asus EPC chips, and then they moved to the Intel Atom processors.
Personally, I'm running both, a Pentium 2 or Pentium 4 processor on my laptop, and I prefer it over my AMD and my desktop. I mean, back when when the Athlon XP came out, it was a whole lot better than the Intel. But then they just started, getting behind on their stuff.
Intel definitely has the marketing on their end and the critics on their end. If you do look at reviews, everybody's saying Core 2, Duo, Quad Core, or Intel Quad Core processors, and they are not giving too much favor to the AMDs. I'd like to see. I mean, I haven't messed around with it enough too, with two equal processors or supposedly equal processors between the two companies. So I have to go by benchmarks at this point. But if I had to pick a chip based on what I've heard from the news, just the tech podcasts I listen to, I would choose Intel because they have better favor in their name at this point. And I have no evidence on my end to back it up. Just from if I had to go by what people are saying, it's at whatever's out there. Intel is getting it. So what do you think, Keith? Do you think it's all hype, or you think that they actually have a valid argument?
Well, I believe that what Nevin said is correct. Yeah, and what you're saying is correct. That there is a lot of buzz. I can't speak firsthand to it as Ben couldn't either, but I do think that if you go into Tom's Hardware, you can see that in a lot of cases the Intel processors do beat AMD in benchmarks. But I guess my question is it really that important? I mean, unless you're doing high-end graphics and high-end processing. For the average user, is it worth that $200 premium to get that Intel processor, or whatever that premium is?
Possibly for gaming, yes. Because it'd be maybe like if you're like doing a frag fest or whatever, playing whatever Halo, Crisis, whatever. I think every frame per second counts, and if you've got the Intel, that gamer is prepared to spend the extra $200 for the higher performance chip. That's my thinking.
Yeah, I would frankly, with gaming, I would definitely go for Intel right now, just because of the hype on it.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Is it hype? Yeah. You got, I'd like to hit some facts here. Does anybody have any facts about this? Okay, that's what I thought.
Well,
the thing also, the reason why I prefer Intel over AMD is because when they also brought out the 3-core, I thought that was pretty